Hey everybody, welcome back, dear ones. It's Mimi back here with you. Yes, I'm in the car. Yes, got the heat on. It's a little chilly. The car says 46, but I don't have a whole lot of privacy in the house, and today didn't get done like I expected. Nothing I expected to get done got done, and I ended up doing a bunch of stuff I'd never expected I was going to have to do today. Such is life, right? You just roll. Just roll. I just erased a video that I was like 15 minutes into, and I messed it up because I said somebody's name. The only people I believe the Lord said that I can stop calling biological mom, biological dad, is them. So I get to share tonight with you. Biological dad will be Roy from now on. That's really his name. Biological mom is Jerry. Was Jerry. That's her name. Her whole name was Geraldine. Like literally, her first name was Gerald. Never heard of that. Middle name Dean. But she went by Jerry. And most folks knew her as Red. We'll get there. Got me a little friend to keep me company. That's Runt. One of the little ones give it to me. And he looks like that pig off of, I think, Chicken Little. I just looked at his little face and I saw a little, well, he's not little, that's a giant pig on that show. But I think it's that show, I don't know. But I said, I need to name him whatever that pig's name is. So he's here with me tonight. In the car, so the noise, sorry. But I can't hide in this house, there's 5 of us. And when we get back to Texas, I'll be able to have hiding places. It's a bigger house. Ow, that was my knee. I pray y'all had a great day. I had a great day, but it's just not how I thought it was going to go, but that's life. But yesterday, oh, I had an amazing day yesterday, y'all. Got to see family we haven't seen, I don't know how many years. Hug necks of people I haven't seen in many years. In fact, the sweetie pie youngin', he was brand new. I remember when his mom and daddy found out they were pregnant with him. And I remember her pregnancy. I told her yesterday, you didn't know whether to laugh or cry, because he was a surprise. And he has become an amazing young man. And to get to hug his neck and visit with him for just a few minutes, because it was cold outside. And his aunt and hug her and love on her. It was a great day. And I got to see my daughter and her family, my boys. Love my boys. And my third born, which is another son, and his beautiful wife, and amazing baby boy. He's the youngest grandson. Oh my, could eat him up. I did have to humble myself to Brandy, my daughter, and tell her after I watched the last little bit of the last video, so I can kind of, I don't remember, so I got to kind of watch so I could see where I left off. And I remember on the last video, the sun, it was so warm and amazing. And whenever I do this, we got the Grand Canyon going there. I don't know, there's not much I can do except go all the time and talk like that, and that's not really realistic. But I noticed that whatever side of my face that big scar's on, I was like, snap, you really can see that. Just another one. And I'm proud of every one of them, because every scar has a story, and everyone says I made it through that. With that being said, I also noticed the eyebrows. So I said, Brandy, I have to humble myself and say, I'm sorry, you were right. She likes that. I don't, but she did. I was like, Brandy, I need to do something. She's like, well, you need to go. And I was like, I've been once in my whole entire life. Sorry about the lighting and stuff, guys, but I have to hide until I can get to where I can talk about things that the little ones won't hear. But I said, I've been one in my time in my whole life. One time my eyebrows have ever been messed with, other than being shaved off for stitches. And it was in Gig Harbor, Washington. Beautiful, beautiful place. That's where the Ministry Out of the Mud Ministry was born in 2010, I believe. Excuse me, I ate collards and pork. Oh my, they were so good. For those who are going, ooh, believe me, I'm from Colorado, never heard of a collard. Excuse me, turnip, nothing like that in my life. And not everybody can cook them. But I learned how from an amazing woman, and ooh, they're good, y'all. They're good. Apparently they make me burp, but they're good. Back to the eyebrows. So the two youngest were teenagers, and I think the third born was 18, and he was off and doing his thing. And the baby boy that we rent this house with still was a teenager out doing his own thing. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go check on my eyebrows just for fun. We'll see what's gonna go on. So I went to a place that did mani-pedis and eyebrows, facial thingies, all that. Very upscale. Gig Harbor, I really don't know now, but when I was there, it was very, very upscale. Still a lot of normies there, but not to say that there's not some amazing wealthy people, because there is. But there was a bunch of ladies in there getting their toes done and their fingers done and all of that stuff. So the little Oriental Asian lady asked me what would I like. I was like, I need something, my eyebrows cleaned up. She said, oh, come with me. I love their accent. And there was stairs going up, so there was a big space under the stairwell, and they had like a bed like you go into the doctor, and it had the white paper and stuff on it, but it was under the stairwell where everyone could see you, everyone could hear you. It wasn't like in a room. So I was kind of like about that, but I was like, okay, I'm here, might as well do it. And I stressed to her and stressed to her, I just want you to shape them, clean them up a little bit. Please don't rip my eyebrow off. I don't want to be, having to draw them on. That's not who I am. Please. And she's like, I know what you want. I'm like, okay, but just please clean them up. I want to keep my big eyebrows. I mean, there's a lot of people with big eyebrows. They're okay. So I felt the warm wax, it felt great, the warm wax. Then she put this white thing over where she waxed, and you ready? Sure, never done this before, sure. She ripped that sucker off, and I scream and sit straight up. I said, golly, I asked you not to rip off my eyebrow. She said, I know. You baby, you a sissy. She's calling me these names. People's laughing, getting their toes did and their feet did. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny to me at all. And she turned the thing around and showed me, and all I saw in that white, whatever it was she ripped off my face, was like this caterpillar. I went into major hysteria. I was like, I asked you not to rip my eyebrow off. And she turned it around and showed me, and it did look like a caterpillar, but the center of the caterpillar was white. There was nothing there. It was really wild. I should have kept it, or at least took a picture. And I was like, oh, okay. She gave me a mirror, calmed me down, looked really nice. The whole time she's laughing. The other ladies are laughing, and I still had to do the second one. She said, be baby, be sissy. Yeah, just let's get this done, please, so I can get out of here. And I will never let nobody touch me again. Got it done. Yeah, I screamed. It hurt. I didn't scream as loud because I knew what to expect. I knew what was coming then. And I haven't. Nobody's touched them since. But after I saw them on the last video in that beautiful warm sunshine, I was like, okay, we need some. Yeah, they need fixed. So I unlocked myself and told Brandy, I said, Brandy, I need your help. She said, well, you can do this string thing. I don't know what she's talking about. Somebody pulling with a string? No. So, because of weather, We're going to be pushed back 2 days of leaving next week. So I have committed, for your sake and for Brandy's, and I guess for mine, I could keep going, whatever. If I look like Andy Rooney and people still want to hear my story. They listen to Andy Rooney, and he was pretty... I listened to him. I heard what he had to say, but I was just focused on them eyebrows. Look him up. You youngins that don't know who I'm talking about, Andy Rooney, look him up. You want to talk about some eyebrows. So Tuesday's the day, y'all. I'm going back to Choctaw County. And I'm going to pray that this youngin fixing to mess with these eyebrows listen to me, because I'm going to tell Brandy, shh, just let me talk to the little girl. And we'll see how it happens. How it goes. One way or another, it's getting done. So, I kind of think it's going to be fun. I don't get much time with Brandy. My baby girl, I don't get much time with her at all. And I miss her. And she goes through big time. And we'll get there. We'll get there. But Tuesday's the day. Eyebrow day. God willing. Days like this, I mean, you gotta live one day at a time, because today was definitely not what I had planned. And the enemy tried all day to frustrate me into not doing this. But God, I had received some messages from people I have never met to encourage me that said, hey, this popped up on my feed, and guess what? I've been through hell too. Keep walking, y'all. Going through hell? Keep walking. So here I am. Told my husband I'm going out to the car. Well, I get it. I said, no, I gotta go out to the car. He's like, oh, okay. I said, pray for me. So he's in there making sure them little rugrats don't come out here. But again, apologize for the light. And hopefully the car's not too loud. I am on a heated seat at 46 degrees. Feels good, especially with this body. All right, let's get back to the book. So Jerry continues to drink. And I remember her taking us to different bars that these gentlemen would go to. And when she would get drunk, she would get nice. She was nice most of the time, as long as he wasn't around, unless we ticked her off. But she got even sweeter and like more mothering. You know, she'd stroke our hair, our face. We would lay on her head on her lap while she was sitting at the bar drinking her beer. Kind of like, can we please go home? And then just when, I almost said it, the oldest sister and I and Jerry, things were going great. I mean, considering what we were in, it was great. My grandfather that owned the bar for a long time, he was dying. So after he passed away, the story I was told is that he and his brother were left the business, that evil, wicked business. On the flip side, it's well over 100 and some years old. Most of the things up there on the mountain are. And the likes of all of the infamous and not so famous outlaws, in-laws, bad folks, good folks, cowboys, white earp, all of them kind of folks, they probably walked the floors of that very bar. So I love history and geography. Love it. I stink at math, can't spell, but that's another story. I love the history of it. And I'll tell you a story real quick before I go on to our world about to turn upside down. I had mentioned to you earlier that my grandfather He was precious and amazing. But I didn't find out until a long time later he ran prostitutes. How do you know? Well, when we would go as little girls, you go in the front door, and like most bars, there was like teeny tiny windows. It was so dark in there, and cold. The bathrooms, anybody that sees this, that has ever been up there, and they'll know what I'm talking about, there would literally be ice and snow in the bathrooms. That's how old and dilapidated this place was. But the front half of the bar, of course, was the bar, the tables, the pool table, all the action, the bathrooms with a foot of ice in them. No joke. No joke. You have to be careful or you fall and bust your head on the toilet. But behind the bar, you went through this door, which is now the way into the kitchen that cooked for the restaurant part that came years later when he got it. Roy got it. But that was my grandparents', like this giant studio. It was a little kitchen, the bathroom, and then a big area for a bed. And I don't know what, I think we slept on pallets when we go up there. But then there was what's now an office and garages, and there was these rooms. I would say 6, but I don't remember. I just know there was at least 6, and they were just big enough to fit a twin bed and a little tiny side table with a lamp on it. And at night, it was so difficult to try to sleep because you had the noise of the bar, everybody hooting and hollering, and the drunker they got, the louder they got. Some that came in nice and got drunk turned into demons. Some that were normally demons turned into really nice people. But we would hear these women cutting up, laughing, giggling, making a lot of noise. And we're like, what is that, Grandma? Oh, baby, they're just back there, you know. They're just back there. Now I know. Crazy. Just crazy. It's seriously like thinking about it and living it and going through it. It's just like being on the outside looking into something really just crazy. So anyway, my grandpa, I love my grandpa and my grandma. He passed away. So I guess the oldest one and I had come in from school or something. I don't exactly remember. But she sat us down and she said, I'm going back to Roy. We're like, no, you're not. No, you can't do that to us. Why would you do that to us? Well, your grandpa died and he needs to have the money to buy out your uncle. So he's asked me if I would be willing to marry him again, sell this house, use the money, the equity, to buy out the uncle so they can make a go of the bar. Here we go again. We had a reprieve of hell, but we were about to. We were on parole, and she was about to put us back in prison. We didn't even do nothing wrong. So they sold the house. We packed up. They got married at the courthouse again for the second time. Enrolled in the school up on the mountain. It wasn't long before the beatings started again on her, on all of us. The pressure of them starting or trying to salvage the bar, because I'm telling you, it was dilapidated. And a lot of construction started going on, and he had to keep his job at the mine because there was no way he could quit. So again, She blew me away. Here she is, a woman that can't read or write, being abused, her kids abused, trying to juggle it all. And she rocked it out. She took that dump and she turned it around. She would literally have the oldest sister tell her over and over again, because you have your well vodka, which is your cheap stuff at a bar, and your good stuff's on the, your name brand is up on a wall. And it was the back bar was built by Chinese immigrants 100 and some years ago. It was beautiful. But it was beautiful and had a huge mirror. So they had the shelves in front of the mirror, and that's where all of the high dollar alcohol went. And then there was what they call it, a well, and they're down below where nobody sees them, and you want something cheap, you just get whatever's cheap down there. But that woman, that's a lot of bottles of alcohol. There was a lot for her to learn. And I think she had a photographic memory, y'all, because man, that woman, once she got it, she never lost it. So she memorized every one of those bottles, the names of the beer. It's kind of like even a 2-year-old, sadly 3-year-old, most, not all, knows McDonald's or Arby's, because they go there, they see it all the time, they're told what it is. But the oldest sister, she'd say, okay, go through this with me again, go through this with me again. But now there's one thing you didn't do. If you came to work with her, for her, you didn't put them bottles in a different position. They had to stay exactly where she had them, because that helped her. You didn't move the bottles. You could take them down and clean, but because she was a clean freak. I told you, we got beat for ketchup bottles and mustard bottles having a little bit of nasty on them. We're talking extreme clean freak. In fact, she got the highest score in that town from whoever, the guy people come to look and see, the health department. I think she got 100 one time. Yeah, you could eat off of her bar floors. It was amazing. That woman didn't stop. She had eating disorder, which spilled over to, I believe, well, the oldest I know for sure, but the middle, I believe she had, maybe still has, eating disorders. Me, I was like, you know what? I tried this and I tried that. I was like, no, I like food too much, and I'm not going to waste it throwing it back up. And I'm not judging anybody, because I've been there too. I tried it. But they, like I said, they were sucked in. And Jerry was the type, she dressed to the nines. And that's one thing I've always been told, is that even from infancy, anytime anybody saw the three of us girls, we were dressed to the nines. So she always had us looking good. School clothes, she made sure we were stylish, because it was a reflection on her. Excuse me, but she was a sharp dresser. And she loved her jewelry. But that woman turned a dump into a moneymaker. Not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write. That boggles my mind. I have such kudos for her for that. I always have. I'm like, wow. And people didn't know. They would hand her a newspaper to read, and she would gauge the countenance on their face. Like, if it was funny, she'd laugh. She'd pretend to read it, and then she'd laugh like they did. Or if it was somber or sad, she'd be like, oh, She couldn't read a word of it. Not one word. She could sign her name. But the oldest sister helped her. Again, always have had a ton of respect for the oldest, because she tried to take care of the middle and I, and because they were consumed after we went back to prison. Roy and Jerry were consumed in making a go of the bar. And again, he had to do the shift work. That's when I told you earlier that as a little girl, I knew there was a God. Again, nobody told me about him, but he created all of us. And I know inherently everybody knows there's something, someone. There's a lot of people that believe in a lot of things, but ultimately it's Jesus Christ. It's God. It's the Holy Ghost. But I knew something was there. And I'm so thankful now that he kept me. So they were consumed, so they weren't around much. And so we were alone a lot. And the oldest would cook us. She'd be like, I learned this in French class, you know. Yeah, right. But that's all you had. That's all you had. So he was consumed with working at the mine to make money, to invest in the bar and get it going. And she was rocking it out. And the more and better they did, she would save up her money. He paid her in cash. I think it was like $225 a week, and he would pay it in cash, put it in an envelope, and she would stash it. She was always stashing her money, here, there, and everywhere. And he'd take total and complete advantage of her not reading and writing. Oh, the scams he pulled on her. And I found out some. And it'll all come out in the book. But he was just so wrong, so evil. So he scammed her big time, used the fact that she couldn't read and write. But oh, you better make that money. You better turn this place around for us. And she did. She fell head over heels in love with that bar. And the people that came in it were her best friends, whether they were or not. That's who she lived for. She did more for the people that worked for her or that came there and drank regularly than she would do for us. I don't do favoritism, and I have zero doubt that's why. Because again, the oldest was Jerry's, the middle was and still is Roy's, and I was always on the outside looking in. But now I am so glad. I know now that it was an epic blessing. One of my goddaughters and I were talking not long ago, maybe last month, I don't know. And it was like, she's gone through some stuff too, a lot of stuff. Sorry about the camera, guys. One of these days I'm gonna get one of them things that hold it or something, but my hands get cramped up. And God gives me, he knows my mind. I'm a visual, so he speaks to me in pictures, or I literally see, like, I call them open videos, or open visions. It's like a movie playing. But he also gives me pictures in different ways for me to see things. And I told her, I said, you know, baby, it's like those snow globes. This is how I felt, y'all. Like those snow globes, and I love them. I think snow globes are so cool because it reminds me of the winters up there, and I love the snow. But I see this family of four, this mama and daddy and two beautiful little girls, and they're in this snow globe, and the snow's falling, and it's so picturesque and beautiful, laughing and having a wonderful time. And I'm standing on the outside of this beautiful snow globe watching it. That's how it always has been. I loathe favoritism. I have 4 kids, 3 sons and a daughter. Now, of course, relationships are going to be different. My daughter is my daughter. My sons are my sons. So there's a different dynamic. Okay, I learned on the oldest one. I learned on him. That's going to come out too. But I didn't have no brothers. I wish I did. And I always wondered if we had a brother, if he would have defended us, or if he would have even been evil if he would have had a son. But anyway, I digress. I do that a lot. Rabbit trails. So, and the youngest is the youngest. But I try to do for all of my kids and my grandbabies as equal as possible. I can't stand favoritism. Not even with our animals. I lost my beloved Titan, I think in May, my pit bull. I miss him so much. And we have a little Pomeranian, Callie. Calla Lily, that's my favorite flower. So I named her Calla Lily, and I call her Callie, and my husband calls her Lily, and I call her other things because she used to be mine. She adored me, I adored her, and then she just turned on me. You know, one of those. Turn on you. So now we have a love-hate relationship. But she'll listen to me. She runs all over him. But I don't do favoritisms, not even with them. Not even with them. Titan got something, Callie would get it. Vice versa, even though sometimes I don't like her. But I don't do favoritism. I don't care who it's with. I love everybody the same. And if I do for one, I try my very best to do for the other. And maybe one needs me now and the other one will need me later. But I always try to keep it a level playing field because I don't want any of them to feel like I felt. Favoritism is cruel. It causes jealousy. The Word of God says jealousy is crueler than the grave. And any of you out there that's experienced jealousy, and I'm not a jealous person unless you give me a reason to be. And, but I'm not a jealous person. I don't like people doing other people wrong. I don't like being done wrong, but I really don't like other people hurting the people that I love. I don't think that's called jealousy. I think that's ticked off. But as far as jealousy, I've been in a place of being jealous, but it was because someone gave me a reason to be. I'm not just inherently, jealous. Even though all the crazy stuff I've watched and learned in my life. But I hate jealousy. I hate favoritism. Now that we got that out of the way. So that's how it was. I was always on the outside looking in. And I said before, I believe that because he only had 3 daughters, he worked us. And now that I think about the jealousy thing, when he bought something, he would buy it in 3s. I remember one time he bought us hairbrushes, rollers, I don't know what else, but it might have been a different color, but all 3 of us got the same thing. It just was different colors. And one of the fond memories I have is he bought the girls, because they were getting old enough. I believe the oldest one got a watch, maybe the middle one too, I don't know. But I wasn't old enough to tell time. So I got a pair of earrings, and they were about the size of a nickel, and they had horse heads on them. And I looked to see, but I thought I had one of them left still. But I remember I kept those. They were so precious to me because he gave me something. He gave me something. And they were pretty nice. But I don't even think I have the one left anymore. But wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, I carried them all through my life. But anyway, she was rocking it out. So blown away by what she was able to accomplish. And for anybody that may see this that knew her, to know that she could not read or write. She could sign her name. And eventually she learned to write a little better, but she had to get good at signing her name because when the people come in to deliver the beer and all that stuff, got to have a signature. Had to be able to sign a check. The oldest sister would fill it out, but she had to sign the check. So we lost them more and more and more to the bar and to his work. And then eventually He left the mine and went to work for the county. Either way, I couldn't stand. My stomach would just drop if I come in and saw his car there or heard him pull up. Oh, what a horrible way to live. Not her so much. We never saw her. She was always at the bar working, and building, her clientele, her relationships. But money and that bar and her customers is what she lived for. She didn't live for him or us. And the more the money came in, the more she wanted. Were they rich? No. But they got to a point where they weren't hurting at all. Very selfish, very greedy, both of them. She'd do for you, but you would never forget it. And you'd pay it back. And then some. So I'm about between 8 and 9 now. Started back to school. My teacher was Mrs. McCumber. You know how some of y'all, maybe none of y'all, I don't know, can remember a teacher's name. And I hated school, but I remember Mrs. McCumber. She and some of the kids were so mean to her because she was very heavy. But her heart was so much bigger. And she was just, it's like she knew God sends those angels clothed in skin. But it's like she knew something was bad going on in my life. Still, I don't know why nobody seen the blood, the bruises, the stitches. Nobody questioned it. Nobody asked her. I'd have been in a heartbeat telling, in hopes that somebody would take me out of that house. But nobody did. But I'll never forget, she read Where the Red Fern Grows, the book. And she'd just read a chapter, however much time she had during that period. And we'd be like hanging on the edge to get back to school. And I dreaded Fridays. And I would have to wait till Monday to see what the next chapters were going to be in the book. I love that book. It's sad, but I loved it. But Mrs. McCumber, she was wonderful. I can't remember many of the other teachers' names. But I remember this one classroom had this, it was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like a castle, but it was just this, like, I think it's called Little Tikes brand, and it's real thick plastic. It was something like that, but it was made into like a reading nook, and it even had a slide on it. And there was a young girl. Well, actually, she was older than me. Apparently, she had failed a couple years. Back then, they failed you. You didn't pass muster, they failed you. Now they're like, you don't know how to read and write? You don't know mathematics? That's okay. Go to next grade. Oh, so sad out there, y'all. So sad. This is tough. So she was at least a couple years older than me and a whole lot bigger. But she was pretty much the only one that would talk to me or befriend me or whatever. So we became friends, at school. No big deal. And one time she's like, do you want to come and spend the night at my house? I'm not thinking nothing about it. Nothing about it. And I was like, I don't know. I have to ask my parents. And so I did. And they were like, yeah, sure. Because it's a small town. I could walk everywhere there. Still, I mean, I don't think I could do it now. But back then as a kid, kids walked everywhere. Because we had to, pretty much. Not like now. We weren't no sissies up on that mountain. So the day came. It was time to go spend the night at her house. It was a Friday. And things started to get strange. Things started to get really weird. And the next thing I knew, I was in one of those situations again. And she was much bigger than me, taller. She wasn't heavy. She was just older and bigger than me. And she started to do things to me. I was like, no, 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 no. And I called my mom. I called Jerry. She was at the bar. I was trying to maintain, I don't know where this girl's folks were, but it was just her and I at that house. And I said, can I come home? She's like, what's wrong? I said, I don't want to stay here. I want to come home. Can I come home? She said, well, it's dark. I'm at work, and you're just going to have to stay where you're at and walk home in the morning. I ain't scared of nothing in the dark. There ain't nothing out there that I'm going to be afraid of. It's like one of my moms, we'll get to that. I got quite a few moms, but one of my moms always said, it's not the dead you need to be afraid of, it's the living. So I wasn't afraid of no dark. It was safer out there. But I begged Jerry. I was crying. She's like, what is wrong with you? I couldn't tell her. But, because I don't think she'd have believed me. Because after the incident where she flat told me, don't you tell anybody, especially Roy, that told me she didn't care. She was worried about saving her hide. She didn't care about me, about what I was going through, the hell, the pain, the torture, the shame, the guilt, the questions. Never even asking me any questions, or letting me ask her any questions about what was that and what happened. So she wasn't going to help me. She was at work. She was busy. It's Friday night. I ain't got time for this. You wanted to go. You stay there. You walk home in the morning. Talk about defeated. So I hung up the phone. And everything that transpired. I cried my way through. Didn't stop her. She did what she wanted to do. Went to sleep. I stayed up all night waiting for that sun to break, to start rising over that mountain. Just enough to where I could say, okay, it's morning, I'm out of here. That's exactly what I did. I never told anybody. And I had to see her at school. I'd hide in that enclosed nook and she'd come in there. And thank God that teacher was vigilant, because she's like, what's going on in there? Because, oh yeah, afterwards, she did her level best, even at school, y'all, to try to assault me again. No. Thank God for that teacher. So she backed off. Didn't happen again. But I never told. And life just kept rocking on. We were living when they first got married because of the bar. Keep that in mind. They remarried again. Now that I think about it, for a convenience. It was a convenience for Jerry's mom to force Roy to marry her, and now Roy needed Jerry and the money from the house so that they could make this business go, and they did. She did. I don't give him any credit for it. None. It was all her. She shined that place up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She shined it up. But we lived in a trailer for a while they were getting the dump where it is today. Actually, I don't know. Remember I told you it sold? Well, it did close down, but hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. It sold. It is no longer under that name. Oh my gosh, the generations, it was there. Ooh. No more. I always prayed for it to burn down. When it was closed, I didn't want, there was mice. I didn't want a mouse. I didn't want nothing to die. I just wanted that thing to burn to the ground. And it never did, but God answered my prayers. And it was just like a year or two ago, maybe. I don't know. I lose track of time, y'all. It's going so fast. I lose track of time. But it sold. I got word from one of my beloved friends up on the mountain that it sold. I said, oh, thank you, Jesus. He answered my prayers. And, but we lived in a trailer and literally right across the street. So she would walk back and forth, and it was a nice trailer. And, went to school, did the best we could, winging it on our own. And then we moved to a house down on Elm Street. They finally bought another house. Nightmare on Elm Street. And it was. Still is, really, from what I can understand and from what I feel in the spirit. It still is. He's still at that house. Oh, it was just as evil as the one in Denver, if not more so. But I remember, I don't know who had it when they bought it. I remember every room was pink or baby blue. Every room. But they painted it and everything. And middle daughter and I shared a room always. We always shared a room. Remember, the oldest was downstairs at the Denver house, Sheridan house. And the middle and I always shared a room. Like I said, we were really close when we were young. It seemed we drifted apart when I left home. And the oldest sister and I, we had our moments at being young. Her room was, when you came in the back door, actually it was only one door now that I think about it, I think. Well, when you came in, there was a room on the right, immediately on the right-hand side, and it was big enough for her twin bed and a dresser, but that's also where the washer and dryer was. And then there was this closet, but there was also I call it a trap door, but that went downstairs to the boiler, heater boiler thing. Creepy. Ooh, it was so creepy and scary down there. So the oldest sister had her own room. You went straight, there was the kitchen, and then right off the kitchen to your left was the middle sister and I's room, and then there was a bathroom, and then their room, they call it Jack and Jill. I don't know what they call it now, but back then it was a Jack and Jill bedroom bathroom. And I'm taking Sweetie Pie Lowe's advice, and I'm going to go until God says, and pray that you guys hang with me. It had a dining room and then a front room. The stuff that was broken in that house, there was a glass door with, the one with all the little panes in it, window panes, that separated the kitchen and the dining room. And like I said, she had so much stuff, way too much stuff, but everything she had was beautiful. But it was just way too much. But he was so creepy. He constantly, if you were on the phone, I could feel him. I didn't know now as a little girl, but I know now it was nothing but the Spirit of God in me. It's called discernment. I could feel him everywhere he was. He tried his best to pull one over on me, but God never let him. But if I was on the phone with somebody, I could feel him on the other side of the wall. He'd be in the dining room listening to every word, mumbling. He's got so many demons that they talk to each other. Some of you will believe me, some of you won't. But that's okay, because this is the truth. There's people right now that will tell me or tell you it's the truth. He talks to himself. That's what they call it, talking to himself. No, it's them demons talking out loud. It's the craziest thing. It's totally, it's freaky. And it's sad. It's sad. Anyway, she would be on the phone. It didn't matter which one of us were on the phone. He would get up out of his recliner and he would stand by the door. Why? I don't know. Maybe he was paranoid we were going to say something about him and what he was doing. I don't know. But he would creep. That's what a creeper. Just a creeper. You would turn around and there he was. Excuse me. And again, we ate in the kitchen, the peasants. And she'd fix his plate and serve it to him in the front room. And I'm all about serving my husband. I love it. I love being a wife and a mama and a Mimi. But she did it out of fear and force. I do it because I've got an amazing husband. I take great pleasure in it. It makes me happy to make him happy. But again, you get what you give. I have explained this in the presentations and to some people that I have been blessed enough to counsel. It's like a bank. You have to make deposits if you're writing them checks. You got to make the deposits, because if you stop making the deposits and you keep writing them checks, they're going to bounce. You're going to be in big trouble. I've been there too. I got lots of stories. Big book, big book. But when somebody is doing all the depositing of love, or trying to, or what they think is love, and somebody else is just continuing to withdraw and not giving anything back, not depositing back what the other person's giving and needing, they're just taking and taking and taking, it won't work. It's impossible. But that's all he did, was take. So just kept rocking on. The abuse. There was some other incidents. I said sometimes I guess I don't want to go to certain places, and then God will bring it to my remembrance. But before they got remarried, there was a couple more incidents of one of her boyfriends that she was actually engaged to. His son had his way with me. So I mean, this was, I just it was almost, now that, I mean, I've relived it and analyzed it, and it was like the norm. I felt women were to please men in every area that you can think of, sexually, emotionally, make sure they're, their house is not just clean, but ridiculously scrubbed. His pants had to be creased. Back then, I mean, I know people right now, older people, that still, they want that sharp crease in their jeans, them men. Whatever. Pull it out of the dryer and put it on. But, I thought that's all that, because that's all I saw. That's all I knew. Yelling, screaming, beating, cussing, sexual abuse. I'm a piece of meat that better know how to clean good. And she did. Even, she would have the oldest reader recipes, and she could cook pretty good, and she taught us. There's a couple recipes that my kids, to this day, they love them, that she taught me how. I don't know where she learned, but I know Tina, I remember Tina reading recipes to her. And it's not like she couldn't cook. She wasn't a dynamic cook, but enough to get us to where we didn't starve to death. But she did come up later on in years with some pretty good recipes. I think there's 3 that I've continued to make. But time rocked on. But as I got older and started collecting the mail, when we'd spend time over at the bar, I've started to tell y'all, he didn't have any sons, so we were the workers. And when I told y'all before, when you're old enough to stand on a chair, I mean, even when you couldn't stand on a chair, you were able to empty garbage and stuff. If you had to drag that mug to the curb, you better get the trash out. There was always something, no matter how young you were, you could do. So the wood stove at the bar, because they couldn't afford the utilities until they really got it up and going and got heater, you know, like real heaters and stuff, the big giant things. They had wood burners, but they also burned coal. And he would get coal delivered, and they would put it in this passageway outside the bar, and the girls and I would have to get this bucket and shovel. It was a black bucket, a black shovel, and we'd have to shovel the coal in to the bucket, and it was heavy, and we'd have to carry it into the bar and fill this like bin. And then I don't know how many times we'd have to haul wood in from the garage after they got rid of all of the ladies' rooms, not the bathrooms. I don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. After they got rid of all of that, and he opened all that up and then started a garage, and we would have to load up as many pieces as we could carry and go all the way from the garage through the bar, and we'd have to stack it, and it better be stacked just right. We did things that all three of us ended up having issues, female issues and issues with our spines. The oldest one has got rods in her back. She's had, I believe, a surgery on her neck that didn't bode well, and none of it ever, the back surgery things. The middle sister, I know, has had at least 2, maybe 3 neck surgeries. I don't know about the rest of her spine. I've had a lower spine operation, and they say from the very top of my spine to the bottom is in need of operations, and they want to go through my throat to do my neck. No, they want to go through my chest to fix between my shoulder blades. No, I have had a operation on my lower back, and it didn't do nothing. It's excruciating pain still. But I really believe that the female problems that we had and the spinal issues were from the beatings and from all of the extreme work we were forced to do as little girls. But God. So I'm about 10, 11, and the bar's really rocking and rolling now. They're starting to get a return. And like I said, he's now at the county, driving a maintainer. He'd leave early in the morning, especially in the winter when it snowed, because he had to go and it was a massive maintainer. It was pretty cool and impressive, especially that he could do it. But they were starting to rock and roll, and the girls and I would do the books, 10 and 11, and we would have to tally what was made the night before. That's where I got obsessed with making sure the denominations they went all the same way, because we had to separate the hundreds, the 50s, the 20s, the 5s, the 10s, and the 1s, and all their heads had to be going the right direction. And to this day, I straighten up the money when I have it. Just crazy little things you think about. But at 10 and 11, I was taking a couple $1,000s, walking to the bank. If y'all ever seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, those of you out there, probably most everybody has. It's one of my favorite movies. And when Uncle Billy took the money, and he was so excited because something about, I don't know what happened. I think the brother was coming home out of the military or something. I don't remember, but everybody was excited. And Uncle Billy was so excited he wasn't thinking, and he set the money down, wrapped it in the newspaper and set it there, and then just walked out. Didn't even go deposit it. Or when he went to deposit it, he was looking for it. And that old curmudgeon in the wheelchair, the owner of the bank that wanted to destroy whatever his name was, the star of the movie. wanted to destroy him, so he took the money. And Uncle Billy had to go back to the bank and say, I lost it. I lost the money. I was so scared, petrified of losing that money. I held on with a death grip till I got to the bank. And it's funny because some people, I got my first checking account when I was 12. The first check I wrote was at a restaurant there on the mountain in that little town. And the young lady that took it, she had to go talk to the owner because she's like, this is like a 12-year-old, 11-year-old with a check. And back then, some cool things happened. I got to work at the ice cream shop. I have to remember what it's called. And I started washing dishes there. I mean, you can do a lot of things back in the day that they don't let you do now that they really should let these youngins do. They really should. Braxton would. He'd go work. I think they should be able to go wash dishes, at least. Learn, work hard. Not like I had to go through, but they need to have a good work ethic. But I was petrified to take that money to the bank, that I was going to lose it, because I know I'd have been killed. It'd have killed me. Thank God that never happened, but we took care of the books for her because she didn't know how to read and write. So, and we had to make sure it lined up because he would check it after work. And thank God, for the most part, it always did. But things were about to change for me. Everything was still hell. But God was about to introduce someone into my life that I didn't know then. It wasn't till after a lot of years later that I realized that that's when God was preparing me and to save me. Maybe not from all the hell in the future, but from the hell that I was in now. And I'm going to leave it there. This is the longest one I've done, and I pray you guys hung with me. I never really remember what I say. I'm serious. I just try to let go and let God say whatever it is He wants me to say. And it was just like the in-person ministry, the presentations. And there's, like I said, props and everything else that I'll get to introduce when the time comes, when that chapter comes. And but I remembered next to nothing afterwards. Somebody that might be with me might fill me in on how it went, or I would gauge how it went at the end after the meet and greet and the questions. And oh my, y'all, God moved in so many ways. But I'm going to leave it there for tonight. I don't even know what time it is. But this is the longest one, and I hope it wasn't too long for you. I just really want to be led by God. But tomorrow, if I can get one in, I will, so I can tell you that this huge thing is about to happen. This person is about to be introduced into my life that's going to take me on a brand new trajectory. But for now, as always, and I will say this at the end of every single one of them, if there's anybody out there that is thinking about doing something permanent for a temporary situation, don't do it. Don't let the enemy have the victory. He's seeking to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants your life. He wants your soul. You are loved. You are priceless. Each and every one of you are loved. I pray for you, and I love you. I'm so glad that even the ones that hate my guts out in this world, that would love to see me dead, and there really is people out there, you'll find out, that would rather see me dead. And it's amazing, it's wonderful that they cannot stop me. They can't. From loving them and praying for them. Because if God can do it for me, He can do it for them. I don't want anybody to go to hell, not even Roy. As long as he has a breath in him, there's hope. A couple of weird things have happened since I've started this. I'll have to share it with you concerning him. But he's still alive. And I'm asking you to pray for him. Because once you take that last breath, there's no going back. There's no redos. There's no do-overs. Hallelujah. But while we have breath, there's do-overs. There's freedom in Christ Jesus, y'all. Oh, such freedom. We can do all things through Christ that gives us strength. And no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Now, he didn't say them fiery darts weren't going to come, but that's when you need to go to Ephesians 6. And you need to read about the armor of God. If you got shiny, beautiful armor, oh, how amazing it must have been back then in the day when those knights in shining armor. But if you got shiny armor, you ain't in the fight. You got to have, mine's dinged up. I'm going to post a picture on Out of the Mud Ministry on YouTube, on Facebook. I just started the thing today, the Facebook thing. It's Out of the Mud Ministry. But I'm going to post some pictures of what a warrior should look like. Your armor should be cut, dinged, dirty, muddy, because that tells that you're in the fight. I don't want clean armor. I don't want clean armor. I am in the battle. I am in the army of God. And I want to do him proud. I love you. God knows I appreciate you. And I'm going to continue to pray that he will drop these videos exactly where they need to be dropped, because I had no idea. I'm just this one little fish in this ginormous, humongous YouTube pond. Like I said, I'm not on any other platform but this, and then Facebook. And for two people now to say, well, one person said it was sent to her, and then she left me, oh, such a beautiful message. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. And then Sweetie Pie Low, she said it just popped up on her feed. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. And go to Out of the Mud Ministry on YouTube, or Facebook, I'm sorry. And I'm going to post some amazing, amazing worship songs for y'all to listen to. I don't know how anybody makes it without worship music. Oh my. It soothes my soul. Helps calm my mind. Thank God for the artists and the songwriters that God blesses with putting it in their hearts and their minds to put on paper and then to music, because it speaks to me and it'll speak to you. But I'll be posting a lot of music on Out of the Mud Ministry Facebook. Again, y'all, I love you. I could just go on, and but tomorrow I'm going to try to do another one to let you know the new turn that's going to change everything. Wow. Here we go. Have sweet sleep. Hug whoever you can. Whoever's in the house with you, give them a hug. Tell them you love them. Give somebody a call or a text or an email and say, you know what? It's going to be okay. Share, share, share. Like, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when I upload. Never thought I'd be saying all of that. It's been told to me by the ones that I subscribe to. I never thought it'd be me. And here I am. And I am so blessed that God kicked my booty for 3 years until I did it. Thank y'all. I love you. Good night. Sweet sleep. The Lord says the same. I see you when I see you. I love you.